Hello everyone, I am Surrenderlot Reviews and I'm back, and I'm ready to look at some more Generation 1 Transformers. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my kitten will convince you. And random fact about my cat society is that apparently they have decided to just go the French route and holding the leaders accountable. But without further ado, let's get into this. So, the first episode we're gonna look at is the Quintesson Journal, where the Autobots basically have to go find a Quintesson Journal to basically end a war. But without further ado, let's get into this! So, the episode starts with this narrator so kindly telling us basically what's going on.
For centuries now, the planets Zetaxis and Lanark have been engaged in a senseless and brutal struggle. Zetaxis has been nearly destroyed by Lanarkan attacks, while Lanark has suffered equal devastation. Both civilizations will be extinct within one more generation, unless these negotiations bring peace.
And it seems like negotiations aren't going really that well. Meanwhile, with the Decepticons and some other Autobots, well, they end up finding a Quintesson signal on a Quintesson pod. And they both fight for it, and the Autobots end up getting it and go through this warp gate where they disappear to who knows where. And it turns out the Autobots got captured by the Quintessons, and they managed to escape pretty easily along with the Quintesson pod. And the Decepticons are also there, and they end up getting the pod, and, well, the Autobots have to go get said pod again. And negotiations continue to break down between those two civilizations, and they, have this scene here.
This is Agar of Zetaxis. We wish to take delivery. When does Ultimate Weapon arrive?
Our vehicle has encountered turbulence in space. Shipment of your ultimate weapon was delayed, but is now en route to you.
Good! Finally, the means to crush Zetaxis forever.
At last, the defeat of the Lanarkan dogs draws nigh.
You know, I find it weird with how many of Season 3's episodes have aged weirdly well and are weirdly relevant for today. And, yeah, I think for this episode, probably, certain places in the world I probably shouldn't be talking about just in this video. Meanwhile, the Decepticons find some pretty interesting stuff in the Quintesson pod.
Planet Tixlara. Large fleet of Quintesson transport vessels were sold to Tixlara. The primitive nuclear fuel requirements drained the planet's mineral resources, bringing the Tixlaran economy under Quintesson control. We supplied manufacturing facilities to the planet Alaxaul. Said facilities were designed to create atmospheric pollutant imbalance. The resulting isotopic rains destroyed all vegetation, which we replaced with plantobots at a substantial profit. Item 793BQ, manipulation of the continuing war between Zetaxis and Lanark. A case study has been made of this conflict.
I'll bet they'd love to have that journal at the peace conference. Then let's get it alone and bring it on home. All right, on my signal.
Escalating sales of armaments to both sides has resulted in continuation.
Yeah, getting a little too realistic here, episode. And how do the Quintessons sound better than actual real-life corporations? Like Nestle, for example. That's actually impressive that the Quintessons, who are supposed to be fictionally evil in this episode, actually sound better than Nestle. That's impressive, I gotta say. Anyways, so the Autobots and Decepticons fight, and in the process, the Quintessons manage to actually get their journal back, and the Autobots and Decepticons are basically gonna have to go get that. Meanwhile, negotiations continue to break down further and turn into more of a boxing match. Anyways, so Skylynx manages to get the Quintesson journal, and as the peace conference goes back to a declaration of war, well, this scene here happens.
In the third stage, medium-powered hand weapons were sold to both Zetaxis and Lanark. Higher profit margins were not achieved until the sale of interplanetary weapons.
Unbelievable!
Profit margins? From blowing up our cities?
Fleet sales of warships increased profits by a factor of 5. Newer weapons sold to Zetaxis generated equalizing sales to Lanark, and vice versa. Quintesson profits from the Lanark-Zetaxis war have increased steadily for centuries. A textbook case.
We have endured these horrors so the Quintessons could profit!
Congratulations. It's taken you only a few thousand years to comprehend your folly. And we shall reward your perceptiveness by providing you your ultimate weapons as promised. Already armed and set to explode on impact. Are you ready to take delivery?
Anyways, so the Autobots managed to destroy that Quintesson ship, which had those super bombs, and those two civilizations decide that they're just gonna tolerate each other's existence, and they're just gonna have a ceasefire and stop fighting each other, and the episode ends. Okay, I'll say this here. This episode is an episode that has aged way better than it has any right to. I somehow think that the Quintessons sound better than actual real-life corporations, and somehow this episode is also relevant with AI data centers basically destroying the environment and making it so people are gonna have health problems if they live near AI data centers, and okay, this episode honestly is just way too relevant for today. But with the episode itself, I think it is good. And this is one of those episodes I forgot as a kid, but now that I rewatch it as an adult, this episode is way too relevant and is way more relevant than it has any right to be. And overall, I recommend this episode. It's just a little eerie as to how relevant it is, but I think with that, on to the next episode, which is the big broadcast of 2006, where the Quintessons end up going on a subliminal messaging campaign that goes a little off the rails. But without further ado, let's get into this. So the episode starts out with the Quintessons trying to get one of their journals, again, on the Junkion sector, but unfortunately they're beaten back pretty badly by the Junkions. And while Skylynx and Astrotrain are in the area, well, the Junkions for some reason are attacking Skylynx, who is an Autobot, and the Junkions are kinda supposed to be a bit friendlier to the Autobots, and yeah, both sides take notice of that. And the Autobots send the aerial bots, and they find out that something's a little weirder with the Junkions, because they might not be completely responsible for this, because, you know, they find a Quintesson ship, and as it turns out, they are controlling the Junkions with subliminal messaging. And the Decepticons also find out that Quintessons might also be behind this. And in the battle against Superion, well, the Quintessons machinery goes a bit haywire, and this here happens.
To care is to share. To share is to care.
Care? Share? Share? Where did that come from? The explosion damaged the subliminal message inductor. We've been sending the wrong message ever since.
Mrs. Peel, we need it. Our 5-year mission to boldly share our signal with all the sloppy life forms who are our enemies. There is nothing wrong with your television set. We are controlling transmission. We control the horizontal. We control the vertical.
We've got the touch.
The Junkion's omnidirectional relay is reaching nearly every corner of the galaxy. We are still unable to cut off the feed or the subliminals.
Analysis?
Precisely what one might expect. Regard the situation developing on Delta Pavonis 4.
All other life forms are your enemies. Your enemies.
Witnessing the beginnings of an interstellar dark age.
We could turn this tide of barbarism to our advantage.
Perhaps by supplying arms and materials to the various forces.
Unless, of course, the journal were to be discovered by one of these armies.
Correct. The journal must remain our primary objective.
Okay, we are having a weird trend of episodes that have aged a lot better than they really should have. Because, you know, this episode actually came out before Metal Gear Solid 2, and this episode talks about subliminal messaging and how that could be used to change public opinion and that kind of stuff, and how often subtle it could be. Yeah, and weirdly today, that just makes too much sense, so, yeah, this is another episode that I didn't really remember as a kid, but watching as an adult is kind of aged a little too well. Anyways, so everyone in the galaxy seems to be going towards Junkion for a big signal, and also Omega Supreme makes an appearance, and yeah, they end up figuring out that something, maybe they should probably, do some subliminal messaging of their own, and they end up snapping everyone out of it, and Galvatron destroys the TV, and the Junkions are basically innocent, and the episode ends. And overall, I will say that this is another episode that has aged weirdly well. Overall, I will say that this episode is good. Just, that's all I gotta say. And weirdly relevant considering, today, and, social media, and that kind of stuff, and yeah, I guess it's really cool to see Omega Supreme again, because that was cool. And I really think that that guy who came up with the idea of using subliminal messaging on the Junkions to get a Quintesson journal, that was a good idea on that guy's part. And, weirdly enough, I think they would actually be effective on social media, so there's that. And I think with that, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.